The saddest thing in the world is watching someone you love turn into everything you hate. But what if the world was watching along with you, publicly, every step of the way, as your love slowly and methodically fizzled and dissolved? Christine Brown and Kody Brown allowed cameras to document their unorthodox polygamous relationship, which spanned a total of 14 years. And in this time, we saw a woman desperate for acceptance and approval of her husband. We saw her struggles, loneliness, searching for purpose, and her role as the third wife in the family. There were various phases of her relationship struggles, and through it all, we saw a man who was flippant, selfish, and self-righteous every step of the way. What we're about to watch is a dissolution of a marriage, of a friendship, respect and kindness, and what will rear its ugly head in the end is jealousy, resentment, anger, and a total all-out civil war. This is what happens when love turns to hate. The first time 22-year-old married man Kody laid eyes on a 19-year-old Christine was when she caught his eye at a church dance. Kody remembered that she was wearing a turquoise dress with a lace ruffle at the collar, but he wasn't the only one admiring from afar, because Christine noticed a young, handsome Kody in the crowd and thought that he was really, really cute and really funny, very outgoing, the good time guy, and the life of the party. Destiny was not ready to join these two together during this time, because Kody was still in his first marriage with Mary and destined to wed Janelle, before Christine officially came into the picture. But that night, Kody admitted the spark between him and Christine was undeniable. He loved her charisma. She was bubbly and upbeat and extremely social, all qualities that he loved. And he had a sixth sense that their destinies would cross paths in the future. But until then, Christine was met with a series of rejections from Kody. The first being that although Kody knew Christine was interested in being with him, he and Mary actually started courting another, which didn't work out. And then ultimately, he married Janelle as his second wife. Throughout, the sparks and the premonitions and the chemistry described by both of them, it was Christine who made the first move after she was invited by Mary to Kody's surprise party. The day after the party, while they were sitting alone on the couch, Christine told him, "Of all the guys I know, you are the one that I'd want to marry." This was her time and this was her moment, because Christine always wanted to be a third wife. It was the perfect position in her opinion. She said the third wife, she's the lucky one. She's the one who comes along and makes peace between the first two wives. And the third wife is in a blessed position. She doesn't have to face marriage on her own without the help of Sisterwives or bear the burden of breaking up a previously monogamous couple. I was going to be a third wife all the way. So the question is, we know how Christine felt. How did Kody feel? Well, he actually knew that they would be together at some point. He knew that Christine made him happy. And he knew that it was only a matter of time before Christine would be a wife in his family. So he decided to ask her dad permission to court her. And about a month later, on Valentine's Day, he came up with the idea to send a bouquet of roses to Christine with the oh so romantic note, "Let's get the ball rolling." So this should have been a moment in time where this happy couple should have been ecstatic and elated. But that wasn't quite the case, because this would become the first bump in the road, the first struggle in their relationship, which happened immediately after they became engaged. And the issue came down to not getting married or not. It was the issue of the timing of the marriage. Both Christine and Kody were on polar opposite ends of the spectrum. Christine wanted to get married immediately. She wanted to set the wedding date as soon as possible. They had already known each other for 3 years, so why wait any longer, in her opinion? Christine was a romantic at heart. She believed that all of your problems would disappear once you got married. And she believed in the fairy tale. She believed in the happily ever after. And plural marriage, in her opinion, was going to be pure bliss. She had her sister wives, she had her husband, and she had her coveted third wife position. But for Kody, he had initially wanted to have a longer engagement and marry Christine at a later date. There was a lot that she didn't know about what was happening behind closed doors at the Brown home. According to Christine, it looked like this was a very happy and healthy family. But that was not the case. For starters, Janelle and Mary were at each other's throats, constantly bickering, which made the environment a nightmare for all. Janelle had just recently gotten pregnant with the family's first child, Logan, and Kody was miserable, not just at home, but also at work, where he was working a job that he absolutely loathed. So in a nutshell, this supposed happy-go-lucky man, because that's all Christine ever knew, the man of the hour, him and his carefree life of the party attitude, that Kody that Christine believed he was only a very surface level of who the real Kody actually was, who the Kody was behind closed doors, when he didn't have to put on a facade. She didn't know that person. So Kody made the decision to give in to Christine's desires, and they ended up getting married 6 weeks after his proposal. The wedding, spanning from the time of planning all the way up to the actual day, was just sad and pathetic. The groom already was in a miserable job and an even more miserable home situation, and he had to work all day up until the wedding. In fact, they almost didn't give him time off to go to his own ceremony. And he played no part in planning the honeymoon. According to Kody, "I was a ping pong ball bouncing between two wives who always had their bristles up. Obviously, they weren't interested in advising me on what I should do with Christine." On the actual day of the wedding, Kody was basically like a zombie. He was stoic and grumpy and silent and distant. Basically the behavior of what every girl dreams of with her Prince Charming on her wedding day. And while the wedding day was an absolute nightmare, there was a silver lining in that really awfully sad day. Because 3 months after their wedding, Christine became pregnant with their first child, Aspen. And it would take a while for the love to settle in, but Cupid eventually hit Kody and Christine, because Christine helped to bridge the gap between the infighting with Janelle and Mary, and also, according to Christine, it wasn't until she had Mykelti, her second child, that they fell more and more in love with each other. In fact, Christine doesn't even think that her true honeymoon happened until this time, and that was during a road trip for work that Kody was taking for a trade show. He took a car to drive there, and in the car was Kody, Christine, and little Aspen and Mykelti. And it was truly the longest time that they had been able to spend time together solo for an extended period of time. And the trip brought them closer together. Kody professed that he would have stepped in front of a train for Christine, and she was certain that the two were soulmates. And as the trip ended, they were both feeling extra romantic, and they made a recommitment to their love and their relationship, and they turned to each other and said, I know that I can trust you to be an amazing and incredible person for the rest of our lives together. I know that I will always be there for you and do everything possible to make things better for you. We both knew that if and when disaster should strike, we would hold each other and look into each other's eyes and tell each other that we are glad for every second we spent together. And it's sad to think that 30 years from now, he will not be able to stand being in the same room with her. But for now, Kody and Christine lived in a loving marriage, growing their family, and in total, the Browns would go on to have 11 children, 5 of which were Christine's. And Christine loved being a mother and having the experience of being a sister wife. She was able to forge even better relationships with Mary and Janelle, and she helped broker peace in the family. For years, Christine was the primary stay-at-home mom, and she loved the domesticated aspect of her role in the family. She was the primary mother figure who cooked and cleaned and gardened and canned fruits and vegetables. And she was also the hostess with the mostest by always being the place. Her place was the place to gather at family functions. And in general, she was the nucleus of the family. She was the center. And also, Christine and Kody's relationship during this time was centered around appreciation. Because whenever Kody needed something to be taken care of, Christine became his dependable and reliant go-to partner. And things carried on like this for quite some time. But eventually, cracks would begin to form. There was a time when the family was strapped for cash, and Christine was required to go back to work. She was unable to be the homemaker full-time, and why? Because the family at this point was a pretty large and growing family. So large, in fact, that they needed additional money in order to take care of that said family. And how did they resolve that issue? Well, Christine started going back to work to help generate income for the family. And this, my friends, is where a huge turning point in their relationship happened. Their love slowly boiling into basically disdain, contempt, and disgust. It all begins with this pivotal moment in time. It was no easy feat for Christine to have to start to go back to work. And that's because at this time she was pregnant with Truly. And while going back to work, the poor girl was super overworked. She was still helping to take care of the kids during the day, and she would work nights to help earn an income. And I'm not even sure when she had time to sleep at this point. And that's not it, because wait, there's more. Remember when I said that they needed additional money to take care of their growing family? Well, that growing family also included her husband Kody falling madly in love with a new woman who also was bringing in an additional 3 mouths to feed. Basically, 4 more mouths in total. And that is what Christine was contributing to. That is why pregnant Christine had to work nights. Talk about a slew of emotions. Christina stated, and she pinpoints that this time in history is when her and Kody's relationship really started to disintegrate. She was overwhelmed with everything. And how could she not be? Any woman in her right mind would probably feel the exact same way, or worse. And just to add even more salt and rubbing it into the wound, Kody was not supportive. He wasn't understanding. He wasn't sympathetic. Nothing, not at all. While she was working nights, their 10-year-old daughter Aspen, who was in the 5th grade at the time, was tucking the kids in at night and running the house. Christine asked Kody to help with the kids at night, and he refused. He said no. He said that he was at other houses, and really, we all know this is not a hidden secret anymore. He was really only spending time at one person's house, and that was his true love, Robin. And this is when Christine's resentment towards Kody started to just keep burning and churning and slowly fester. Resentment was a big part of the disintegration of their relationship. Resentment is described as an emotional reaction to being mistreated. And that's exactly what was going on at this point in time. She was 100% being mistreated. And all the emotions that you get from resentment are often anger, disappointment, bitterness, and hard feelings. And resentment is commonly triggered by certain negative events. Now, I could go through the gambit of every time that Kody did Christine wrong, but that would probably take weeks and months, and maybe we'll save that for another video. So I'm going to condense this for you and highlight the most egregious examples for how Christine's resentment was triggered. One of the cornerstones for resentment building in a relationship is feeling put down. And the first trigger for Christine's resentment involves this. Kody made it known over and over and over again how much he wasn't attracted to her. So much so that Christine basically developed a complex over it. She said, "It was terrible to hear, and it was super embarrassing. I'm not going to keep fighting for this or trying if you're not attracted to me." She said she could count on her hand the number of times that Kody actually told Christine that she was beautiful. And to add insult to injury, Kody would later tell Christine that he wasn't even attracted to her on their wedding day. Ouch. And I call BS on that. How can you not be attracted to a woman and have 5 children with? Obviously, in my opinion, a mind game, and he doesn't mean that. I think he says it because he knows that that's really what Christine wants, is acceptance. And by him rejecting her in that way is kind of like a punishment. Well, guess what? Those punishments over time lead into even more resentment. And it was obvious that Christine felt very insecure about his new bride, who, by the way, not only looked completely different than the other 3 wives, but she was also 10 years younger. They had already had a dynamic in this family. All 3 wives pretty much came into the family 1 year after another, probably within a 2 or 3 year period, were the 3 wives. And there was a long span of time where there were no other wives needed. So Christine had to have personalized that. What is it about me that it's not enough? Why add another wife 10, 15 years, 14 years into the game? She had to wonder if there was a reason that he basically went for the exact opposite look that had to play in her psyche too. She had to have questioned if he was attracted to her. It would make anyone think. One example of this, it's a small example, but I picked up on it right away, is when Christine, who really wasn't one to wear French tips, she seems to like all natural. But during Robin's early years, Robin was very into wearing those French tips. And it wasn't long after that Christine started to wear them as well. And I'm sure she was thinking, well, if this is what Kody's attracted to, I mean, when in Rome, it's working for her, so it should work for me too. And yeah, this phase was short-lived for both Robin and Christine, but still, I found this act very revealing, very telling, and also just sad. And low self-esteem wasn't the only thing that Christine was dealing with, but also this new change in the family and this change with Kody had this increasing shift of a power dynamic in the family. There were huge imbalances of power that Christine had to deal with. Guess what's another cornerstone of resentment and bitterness when love goes to hate? A big part of it is a shift in power dynamics when someone's voice isn't heard, when you feel that you don't have any control over your life. We've joked about this a lot on my channel about Kody and Robin being a power couple, but in reality, it's really no laughing matter. Because all in all, Robin and Kody, they hold the key to what Christine was searching for in her relationship with Kody. Yes, Christine wanted Kody's love and affection. And yes, Christine wanted him to be an involved husband and father. And basically, what she saw Robin getting, Christine wanted that also. And why shouldn't she? Kody kept preaching that he was doing all of these amazing things for the benefit of his overall larger family, that it was always about the big picture. But it's so amazing. It's so crazy that his big picture always ended up looking more like a Polaroid with only a certain group of people really benefiting. And what made it worse is that Kody knew exactly what Christine wanted. There was no need for lack of communication there. Christine made it very known what she wanted. It was clear as day, and it was extremely evident even during day one that Christine just wanted to be loved. And one really good example of that is during one of their counseling sessions that was filmed for the show. Christine couldn't understand why they didn't have intimacy. And Kody gave the excuse that he didn't want to be intimate with her if he didn't trust her. The reason for the lack of trust? It was because earlier Christine had confided in him that she hated, not just disliked, but that she hated plural marriage. That she was jealous as can be, and that she couldn't get over that. It was hard for her. We all know who it was who made her hate plural marriage, because guess what? She loved plural marriage up until a certain wife number 4 came into the picture. So, what do you think Kody's solution was to Christine's issues? Basically do what he always does with pretty much any problem, except for problems with Robin. He ignored them. He gaslit her. And of course, he did not accept any accountability for his part of the blame. Instead, he put the onus on Christine. It was her that needed to put the family first. It was her who needed to have a better relationship with her sister-wives, aka Robin, in order for her marriage to flourish. Well, if Kody is demanding this, and he wants all of these things from Christine, basically a list, a to-do list of things to do in order for Christine to get what she wanted. It kind of reminds me of getting a grade in school. Someone has to be the teacher. Someone has to grade the paper. Where do you think Kody would be getting that information from? For Kody to feel that Christine was indeed having a better relationship with her sister wives, wouldn't he probably get that information from the other sister wives? And really, since really the only other sister wife he's talking about is Robin, doesn't that mean that Robin holds a lot of power? Because until Robin would give the okay that things are fine between her and Christine, Kody is going to be withholding love, attention, and affection from Christine. So that little report card that Christine was waiting for Kody to bless off on, basically that power, was essentially handed over to Robin. So Robin was basically the teacher with the report card, and Christine was a student taking a test, waiting for her teacher to give her a good grade on her report card, aka Christine being nice to Robin, putting her first, I guess kissing the ring. And this is where most of the resentment started to fester, in my opinion. And the thing is, it's so funny that Kody didn't see it. He didn't see anything wrong with what he was doing. He didn't see that this is going to be building a problem in the future for him, for his relationships with his sister wives. This was a bad move. Because instead of being understanding, instead of having empathy for the situation, Kody instead started to get frustrated with Christine. He started to resent Christine himself for treating the woman that he loved so badly, and for not being able to give Robin what she wanted. And what did Robin want? She didn't not only want to be the queen bee, but she also wanted to be the queen bee that was adored and wanted by everyone in the family. That's not something that can ever be demanded or commanded into existence. It was never going to happen. So Christine was always paddling upstream. She was always going to be the underdog in the situation. It was an infinite loop of disappointment and demand. And to add insult to injury, Christine tried, and she tried, and she tried to express to Kody exactly how she was feeling. How the two of them needed to focus on their own relationship, their individual relationship. Work on their own issues as an individual couple without dragging Robin into the fold. Yes, there's a time to talk about the bigger overall family, but we need to talk about us.
I've never been here with Christine before. I've never had her be so troubled in our relationship. I've loved her all my life. We've had a great relationship. We're just at a point where we have to work through some kinks.
To me, I don't think Kody's very equal with his time. I think he caters to Robin's needs, to Robin's kids, to whatever Robin needs. And I think that he's spending all of his time building up his and Robin's relationship. And he doesn't realize that our relationship really isn't that great. And he needs to spend some time developing our relationship too.
But as always, Christine's feelings were not ever taken into account. Kody never bothered to hear her, to really, truly understand her. Without having an agenda, without trying to play the game so that he would win. It just never happened. Which, of course, is going to foster even more resentment from Christine. And another part of this resentment, this love that slowly turned into hate, started from Christine not feeling heard. Kody never gave Christine an inch when it came to Robin. Their relationship was dependent on how Robin felt Christine was treating her, including how Christine was including her into the mix. While also at the same time, I think Kody felt that by knocking Christine down a few pedestals in front of Robin, that would make Robin feel more secure about her relationship with him. I truly do believe that. Anytime Christine would ask, can we talk about our relationship? Can we focus on us? Kody would, with reckless abandon, always just bulldoze her down. During one of their anniversaries, their therapist, Nancy, tasked them with working as a team and making a rock tower on the premise of their relationship. How well can they work as a team? And in their exercise, it was evident how Christine's feelings, how her needs, her wants were all ignored and brushed aside into basically nothing. The point is, she just needed to conform to his wants and his needs, which was an overall reflection. This was like a microcosm of the overall sentiment, not only in the family, but in their marriage. This exercise, the way that it went about, was how Christine had to deal with Kody on a daily basis. Just shut up, hold in your complaints, grin and smile, grit and bear it, and just cater to him. So during this task, Nancy asked them to work on a rock tower regarding their marriage, their relationship. But Kody was hell-bent on making this whole rock tower not about Christine and Kody, but about the overall family, aka Robin. Really, that's all that it comes down to. And while Christine wanted to make it about their relationship, and to be honest, so did Nancy, Kody ended up bragging to Nancy at the end of the exercise and acknowledged in his confessional that he knew exactly what Christine wanted, but he decided to do it his way anyway. And Kody basically beat his chest while saying he will honor Christine if she honors the whole family. AKA honoring Robin, accepting how she just needs to endure basically and pretend like she shouldn't demand equal treatment of how he is with Robin, that she shouldn't demand more, that she shouldn't want more. The whole thing was completely infuriating and frustrating because we all see it. But Christine was living in this dystopian reality where what is up is down, what's black is white, and in this world, all the wives, in Kody's mind, are being treated fairly and equally. What an absolute joke. Which leads us to another reason of the love turning into hate with these two, and honestly, almost indifference. And it was the insanely unrealistic expectations that Kody put upon her. Because placing absolutely absurd expectations on someone is almost going to certainly foster resentment and bitterness, especially when those expectations are tied to conditions, being conditional. And it all came down to basically making it mandatory that if Christine ever wanted to get a crumb of love or affection or attention, that she would need to submit to Kody's dream of all the wives living in one big house. And that ended up being a war of all wars, basically the war in the Brown household. Well, at least until COVID hit. But this was a big one. the one home idea was Christine's time to push back. She had to sound the alarms. She couldn't be quiet anymore. She couldn't grin and bear it. This was her battle cry. This was the hill to die on, the rock to climb on. And this was something that she felt that she had to demand to be heard. And if no one else was listening, she didn't care. She was standing firm. She wasn't going to do it. And it may be one thing to compartmentalize that her husband was abandoning her kids and the family in preference of another. She had her own little bubble, like a safe place in her own home, where she could cocoon herself and her kids from the realities of the one-sided marriage. Now that's one thing, being sequestered, but it's another thing altogether to have it flaunted in her face every day if they were to live in the one home. And to know that her children would see on a daily basis exactly what they're missing from their father, exactly what they could be getting, when right across the hallway, there's Kody being an absolutely involved dad with Robyn's kids. It was clear that when Kody was around Robyn, he was a better person, he was a better father, a better husband, and Christine would be damned if that was going to be flaunted in her and her kids' face on a daily basis. Christine said, "I did love the idea of a family, of having sister wives, of raising kids together. It is an important part of plural families, that each relationship and each marriage is strong too. We always talk about the spokes in a wheel, and when there's a spoke that's broken, how do we keep it going?" Well, I know how not to keep it going. Flaunting in a wife's face what she cannot have. Kody, how you were treating Robyn is how Christine always wanted you to treat her this entire time. And it's so fascinating because Kody really threw in the towel like a child after she refused his biggest dream, the one house idea. He basically lost it after that. Completely lost it. He wasn't even interested in trying anymore. At this point, he really thought that Christine was playing a game. Because during this time, he called Christine a game player. Like not even taking her wants and desires seriously. Putting it off as some weird power trip. And to Kody, he was hell-bent on winning this game. I bet he thought deep down that Christine was sabotaging him and getting back at him for not doing what she had requested all those years and years ago. Like it was retaliation or something. But little did he know that Christine's heart was broken and she had had enough. And the worst part was, I believe it was super sinister that Kody tried to get back at Christine. Like a vendetta. Because let's face it, by this time, Christine wasn't the only one doing the resenting. Kody resented her too. And I think he intentionally wanted to hurt her as bad as she had hurt him. Because when polygamy in Utah was changed through legislation from being a crime with significant jail time and it was reduced to a citation, that is when Christine wanted to move back to Utah. And they had a conversation and Kody made it appear as though he was on her side. Behind closed doors, he was giddy, he was laughing. He told Christine he would talk to the wives about it, and that Christine was under the impression that they were going to talk to the other wives together as a team. And during the day in question, Christine was ready to have her teammate, her husband, sell the idea to the other wives. And at that time, a smug and defiant Kody denied her that opportunity. Basically went against her and was antagonistic, and it looked like he had pure glee, seeing her miserable and in pain. And you know what he wanted? He wanted her to feel the pain of her dreams being dashed in the same way that he felt about her ruining his dream of the one house. Kody may have been chilly towards Christine before this, but after the dashing of his dreams, solely because Christine was the one who squashed it, he completely iced her out, was completely cold and uncaring, and she could feel his animosity for her in the room. His anger and resentment His disdain for her was palpable. So much so that she even thought that he hated her, didn't want to be around her. And after Christine's rejection, even she acknowledged that their relationship just went downhill from there. Kody didn't want to work on things at that point with her in the relationship, and he wanted to make her as miserable as she made him feel. It was time for his revenge, and he even felt that Christine was an obstacle to his own goals, his own dreams. You hear him say that his family was the obstacle, but we all know what he really meant. There was only one person at this time pushing back on his dream. And we already know Mary would have done whatever Kody wanted. Janelle was 100% in favor of the one home idea, and Robin was fine with the one home idea as well. So we all know who he was really talking about. We know who he was targeting, and it was definitely Christine. And to be honest, their relationship never recovered after this. And I really feel like this was the unofficial breaking point of their relationship, the point of no return. Kody really had no love left for Christine, and it showed. But during this time, Christine was still trying to work on the relationship. Kody believed that he could play games with Christine. He believed that she would stick around forever. And he knew that Christine, even then, only ever wanted one thing: love. She wanted him to love and accept her as a partner, and to love and respect his children, all of them, not just a few. You know, two things that really became an apparent problem not too long after the one house idea was an event looming right around the corner that would be the final nail in the coffin, the end of their relationship, and it was the events that happened during COVID. And speaking of love turning to hate and resentment and anger, there is a lot of resentment to any relationship where there are many injustices that are being built up inside a person. It's going to eventually turn into anger and hatred and a need for revenge. And in this case, the injustices in this family with Christine during COVID ended up being too much for her to bear.
I'm tired of feeling like I don't matter. I'm tired of not having any support when I really need it. I'm just tired. I need a partnership. I need something different than this.
First, there was the issue of Kody making excuses during COVID to spend the majority of his time at Robin's house with Robin's kids, and he basically used this time during COVID to make excuses to not have to go over to the other wives' houses. And while this irked Christine to no end, I think she would have actually tolerated it. But what was absolutely inexcusable, the final nail in the coffin for Christine, was when Kody refused to attend and go to and support his daughter Isabel during her scoliosis surgery. The audacity for him to even suggest that Isabel endure pain for another year so that he didn't have to get exposed to COVID made Christine absolutely livid, and rightfully so. According to Dr. Krista Jordan, she's a board-certified clinical psychologist, she said that in the beginning with resentment, it's all mainly about hurt. Someone you hurt and failed to meet your expectations you had of them or violated your trust is going to breed resentment. These are all vulnerable feelings, and generally, humans won't stay in a vulnerable position for too long. And that's exactly what Christine did. She didn't stay vulnerable for long. That's exactly what happened. In fact, it was during this time away from Kody and at Isabel's surgery where she was there by herself, not thinking that she could do it by herself, by the way, that she realized, you know what? I don't need him any longer. And I don't want him any longer. She was able to do it on her own. She was strong enough to be there and support her children on her own 2 feet. And her kids and her deserved better. See, Kody thought that Christine had been playing a game this whole time and that they were just jostling for power. But little did he know, this was no game. Christine wasn't going to get over this. It's not her pouting. It wasn't a power move. It wasn't a power play. Christine was doing what was right for her and her children. And Christine was over it. And she was over him. The love that she had for him slowly started chipping away years ago. But during this time, it morphed into a big, heaping pile of resentment. And Kody could do nothing about it. At this point, Christine's love for Kody was gone. It was zilch, it was zip, it was zero. It's gone forever. The old Kody that she knew was no more. He has slowly over the years turned into a man that she could barely tolerate. A man who once had his own thoughts and dreams and opinions and wasn't guided by one person being someone's lackey. A guy who spent a lot more time with all of his children. That guy is gone. And for Kody, the woman who was willing to do anything for him, do whatever it took to make him happy, to wait on him hand and foot, just to be there and accept whatever crumbs of attention that he would give her. That woman, she's also gone. And he resented this new and independent Christine who stood up for herself and challenged him when he would do wrong, who demanded more. Kody festered and stewed and pouted over the one house idea for over 2 years. 2 years. Think about how uncomfortable that was for Christine during this time, knowing that her husband basically loathed her. Kody made her pay for it in his usual passive-aggressive way, made her feel as though she was disgusting and undesirable, without any attention and affection, and to add insult to injury, spent as much time as possible at Robyn's house with Robyn's kids. And while Christine was irked with Kody, he really pushed their relationship off the cliff one day when he was over at Christine's house, and the conversation about intimacy in their relationship was brought up and discussed. It was, of course, Christine who brought up the topic because we all know Kody was fine in that department because he can easily go elsewhere. But that day, Christine wanted to know about the status of their marriage and if it was going to be a full functioning one, aka were they going to be intimate again? Before this had gotten really bad, like before the one home rejection, the intimacy in their relationship was already on the decline, but it was not non-existent. According to Christine, they had been intimate about 5 times a year, which on average ends up being about once every 2 or 3 months. And although she wanted more, she was able to tolerate it, and she knew that it can be improved. But after that one house rejection, all intimacy stopped. So on this day, Christine had the courage to confront Kody and have a real heart-to-heart conversation about the status of their relationship. And Kody responded, "We're not going to have an intimate marriage anymore. We're not going to have sex." Christine said there's sex and there's intimacy. What we didn't have was intimacy. The intimacy itself had been gone for years. And once Kody told her that they were done having sex, that's when she began boxing up his stuff and told him he was no longer allowed in her bedroom and he could no longer sleep in her bed. This relationship was officially over. She started packing up his things and moving his stuff into the garage. At this time, her bedroom would officially be her safe space, and his negative vibes, his negative aura would no longer affect her safe space, her sense of self, and her sense of self-worth. Christine was ready to move on with this next chapter of her life, far away from Flagstaff and Kody. And on November 2nd, 2021, Christine announced to the world on social media that she finally left Kody. After more than 25 years together, Kody and I have grown apart, and I have made the difficult decision to leave. We will continue to be a strong presence in each other's lives as we parent our beautiful children and support our wonderful family. There's a popular saying that sometimes people aren't good as lovers, but they're better off as friends. And after Christine's decision to leave Kody, she was really hoping that they could at least still be good friends and co-parenting partners. But Kody was still so bitter and so angry that she left him, he couldn't even stand to be around her. He didn't want to be in her presence. He got mean, he got flippant, He was jealous, and he got pissed when Christine and Janelle would partner together to co-parent his children. Kody really felt that their separation was like a civil war, and if you sided with one, it meant that you were supporting the other, aka the enemy. And things just continued to fester and build, and instead of focusing on being a good provider to Truly, he just wanted to continue to trash talk Christine and accuse her of turning his children against him, even accused her of being the Pied Piper. And if he had spent even just an iota of that same free time making schedules to be with Truly and fostering a relationship with her, I don't think that Christine would have actually taken the steps to sue Kody for child support. According to an online publication, an insider shared that Kody was trying to force Christine to accommodate his lifestyle. And Christine allegedly noted that Kody was still paranoid about COVID and, quote unquote, everything else. And according to the insider, if Christine didn't make the effort to bring Truly from Utah to Arizona, he probably would not have a relationship with Truly. Christine was saying that it was Kody's responsibility to leave his own nest, aka the McMansion, to see his own daughter. In this relationship, their love slowly turned to bitterness. It turned to a lack of trust and disrespect. Eventually, it turned ugly. And it turned close to flat-out hatred, if not indifference. Christine sat down in her confessional and declared one of the most epic, mic-dropping moments in the entire history of Sisterwives. In all of the 18 seasons, no statement has been more triumphant than this.
I don't think Robin's ever lived plural marriage, honestly. Because as soon as she came into the family, even before they got married, I just don't even want to go down the road.
Oh, don't worry, Christine. You may not want to go down that road. I get it. You don't want to rock the boat. But trust me, girl, we all do. So here's the question. Do you think I let Robin off the hook on this one? Well, don't you worry, because next we're going to discuss Robin's sordid history. In all honesty, Robin was never a real sister wife. So click on this video so that we can discuss it all.